Sure, absolutely. The day we took office, January 1st, 2012, we had just starting to come out of the Great Recession of 2008, 2009, where in the state of Indiana, a lot of folks don't realize this, was actually the hardest hit state in the entire nation in mortgage foreclosures. Right now, there's about 350,000 abandoned homes here in the state of Indiana. A lot of people don't realize that. So it's not just a Sullivan problem. With the housing crash of that time, you not only had all these foreclosures, but with property tax caps that were implemented by the General Assembly back in 2010, essentially you had a perfect storm, right? You had homes that were foreclosed on in your neighborhoods. Therefore, the assessed value is dropping of your community in the entire state of Indiana. And then on top of that, you cap property taxes. And the city of Sullivan had about a 30% property tax hit. So a lot of people, we hear a lot of talk and facts and figures about percentages, but to really put that in play, that means if literally 1/3 of the money that you used to have to spend every year is gone. This isn't like you're getting some increases, but you got to just tighten your bootstrings a little bit and move forward. This is a 1/3. Can you imagine your household income if somebody came to you today and said, you're going to lose 30%. 1/3 of that paycheck, it's just going to be gone. Oh, by the way, we still want you to pay that car payment. We still want you to make that mortgage payment. You still want your morning latte from Starbucks and all these things. So the public, they still demanded the same services, but they all got to save a couple $100 a year on their property taxes. So I say all that is just to kind of set the tone on the why. We can talk about a lot about what we're doing here in the city of Sullivan, but now you're seeing the why, and now it's coming to fruition, right? So 409 West Donaldson Street is just one of about 90 eyesores that was eliminated when we took office January 1st, 2012. The city's assessed value used to sit around $100 million. That means everything inside the city limits from north to south and east to west was valued at about $100 million, and that's how you got your tax assessment. It had dropped to nearly $63 million. So your assessed value drops. Property tax caps are implemented all at the same time. We were in the midst of a perfect storm. And basically what you're seeing, communities that decided to do something about it and change their ways and be innovative and be creative, they're the cities that are going to continue to be progressive and you're going to continue to move forward. And the rest are just going to die on the vine. And you're seeing that here in the state of Indiana. You're seeing that all over the United States, right? The population numbers are exploding or they're going down. Nobody's staying the same, right? We don't stay the same as human beings. I don't look the same as I did 10 years ago. Neither do you, and none of us do, correct? I know this is kind of a long-winded, but I just really want you to kind of grasp exactly the why we're doing these things. So it's really, like the press release stated, it really is a very simple equation. Look, with these mortgage foreclosures and abandoned properties, I have to rid these neighborhoods of these spots of cancer, right? They decrease the city's assessed value. They attract their meth magnets, their eyesores. They attract rodents, rats, raccoons, drug activity, crime, all of these things that are just absolutely choking the life out of the city of Sullivan and all communities across the country, right? It was at the base of it. We knew the only way that we could get the city's assessed value is either get on our knees and pray that some major manufacturer falls out of the sky as we compete with 3,000 other counties across the entire nation, or we could do something about it, and it had to be done parcel by parcel. We literally just rolled our sleeves up and said parcel by parcel, house by house. And now we've eliminated our city of about 90 eyesores over these last 8 years, which was great. I've told the story many times about the 409 Donaldson Street home that we tore down, and it was great to see it come down. But what was even better from a mayor's perspective is the goosebumps you get when the neighbors come outside and there's tears streaming down their face saying, we have lived across from that eyesore for decades. And it's just sat there, and oh my gosh, to see that come down. But they never, back in 2013, when we tore this particular parcel down at 409 West Donaldson Street, it was the first one. The very first one that we eliminated. It was kind of a trial project. Never would we imagine that here 8 years later, there's a new beautiful home that is homeowner occupied. It's not a rental property, it's homeowner occupied. A family has moved into the city limits that did not live in the city limits. hence population increase. Assessed value had dropped, and since 1980, the city had been on a gradual decline in population. Like I've stated many times before, what does every city need? Citizens. What does every utility company need? Utility customers. What does every small business, Basler's grocery store, or Save-A-Lot, or the Dairy Queen here in town? They need customers. What does every employer need? Employees. What does every church need? They need church members and congregants. It really is a simple concept of human capital. It is our greatest asset. And we can chase all the smokestacks in the world that we want, but at the end of the day, what do all those things that I just mentioned, what do they all have in common? They're people, and what do they all have in common? They all need a place to live. They all need a quality. It's really that simple. It really is. So therefore, we started putting this plan together. We met with Ohio Valley Gas. They were interested in it because I said, look, the more houses I build, the more opportunities you get for gas customers. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We are getting back to the basics of what built this city under the Industrial Revolution years ago. A lot of these homes were built in the 1920s, the 1930s, the 1940s. Well, I don't care how well you maintain them. When you're sitting at an 80, 100, and 120-year housing stock, that's got to recycle. You know, during the 60s and the 70s and even some of the 80s, we moved into suburbia. They left the inner city, right? We went to Carmel. We went to Westfield. We moved out on the outside, on the outskirts of town, and we got 10 acres and this and that. Well, now you're seeing millennials and empty nesters. They don't want all that, right? They want to be downtown. They want to be in town. They want to have nice sidewalks. They want to be able to walk. They want to be able to go to the local winery. They want to be able to ride their bikes, get on trails. They don't need to save up for a 1968 muscle car, right? They'll rather take their money and go out into town. Now, COVID has been, that's a whole other story in itself. That has kind of thrown a wrench in some of this. But at the end of the day, the city of Sullivan continues to gradually uptick a population. We actually had, like I said, a 40-year decline until about 3 years ago. I think we picked up 15 residents, 4 the next year, 11 the next year. And a lot of folks out there and throughout the Wabash Valley that might be watching this might be saying, oh, great, 4 residents. I'm like, no, you don't understand. When you're losing 20, 30, 60 every year, and then over a 40-year period, you're down, 800 people. That's 800 people that are paying taxes. That's 800 people that are going to the store. That's 800 people. If just half of them have one child, there's 400 students that the Southwest School Corporation is no longer educating and receiving public education funding. So your challenge to this story today is to decipher through all this and really see. But I always feel like it's very important to tell that story because it really is that basic. Every school needs students. Every employer needs employees. And like I said before, I could go on and on. So why we're here today, this is just another chapter of this voyage that we're on, this journey that we started in 2012. Let's eliminate the eyesores. Let's take an inventory and a snapshot of where we're at. Hold on just a second, please. Hey, can you guys keep it down? Thanks. It's Wednesday, and the Southwest School Corporation doesn't go to school on Wednesdays. So we've got people doing homework there's at their house. If we were live, that would have been 10 times better live, wouldn't it?
It really would have been.
So anyhow, but I say all that just for you to have some information there. So what we're really excited about, it's how I usually start these interviews. Why are we here today? We're here today to say a big thank you to our partnership. Or let me start that again. We are here today to say a big thank you to Ohio Valley Gas, which has joined this coalition and this partnership of neighborhood revitalization, because they also are aware that the better the city does, and as the city grows, so will their customer base. And it really is that simple. And not every utility company and not everybody totally gets that vision. And they have stepped up to join this coalition to continue to move the city forward. And we're doing things that quite frankly, 8 years ago, many residents would have laughed at. And they would have said, no way, because all they saw was an empty eyesore. All they saw was cats and dogs and rats and raccoons and syringes and needles and everything else coming out of these meth magnets and these eyesores, right? And today you have a beautiful home with a beautiful young family living there as well.
Very nice. So with all of that, we've talked about, I guess, the benefits of the coalition for Ohio Valley Gas as far as, they're getting more customers, like you said, more people in town, more customers.
And
So,
it's also a way for them to give back into their community. They're building this value. They're getting more customers, and it's great. They've seen that vision and stuff.
so what all does their partnership include to the coalition? What are they providing for
They
it?
basically just invite, they, depending on the parcel, this is just our first parcel. This is a creative and innovative partnership. So it's basically just going to depend on the size of the home, where the home's located. Is it going to be a 3-bedroom home? Is it going to be a 2-bedroom home? I don't have all the particulars of what that is, but the gist of it is that they essentially have helped partner, I believe, with some of the appliances and things like that because they have become a natural gas customer. So for a developer to come and have to spend all of his money, if the city can assist him or her with the lot, and then Ohio Valley Gas can maybe assist with either some appliances or gas hookup or whatever the case may be. And then next year we follow up with the Paths to Progress Sidewalk Initiative, where we'll pour a sidewalk out front. It basically, instead of putting it all on the private sector and saying, hey, go to the bank. I mean, all of us are sitting here waiting for somebody, right? Every community is sitting here waiting. I hope somebody comes. I hope somebody tears down this house, and I hope somebody builds it. But what is the reality of that happening until you stimulate and until you take the lead?